Hello and welcome to Sports News Africa, the home of Africa's sporting conversation. Let's take a look at the headlines. Ivory Coast face sanctions after pitch invasion marred Cup of Nations tie. The fallout continues from Nigeria's exit from the tournament. And the Volvo Ocean Race heads to Abu Dhabi after sailing off from Cape Town. Thank you for watching Sports News Africa. I'm Angela Agor. We begin with the news that Ivory Coast might face sanctions over a mass pitch invasion by its fans in Abidjan following their goalless stalemate with Cameroon on Wednesday. Ugly scenes marred the end of the match, with some images appearing to show a fan trying to grab Gervinho's shorts while police struggled to maintain order and control. The Confederation of African Football is said to be waiting for the referee's match report on the incident. To Nigeria next, and the fallout from Nigeria's premature exit from the tournament has trickled into the halls of power. Changes to the Nigeria Football Federation could be imminent, pending the outcome of a new bill passed by the country's Senate.
The prolonged wrangling and the fighting within the Nigerian Football Federation may finally come to an end if a new bill passed by the country's lawmakers comes into full effect. The Nigerian Senate sitting in the capital Abuja unanimously passed the NFF 2014 bill, which now has to be signed by President Goodluck Jonathan into law. The new law seeks to streamline the federation, which has had a bad history of corruption, mismanagement and infighting among officials. The spillover effect has had heavy toll on the performance of national teams representing the country in major tournaments. Adamu Gumba, chairman of the House Committee on Sports and Social Development, said the new law will serve in the interest of football in the country.
Anytime there's going to be election, you have crisis. So the thinking was that if a new law is proposed to take care of some of these flaws, it will be in the best interest of Nigerian football. And that necessitated the proposal to have a new bill.
He added that the new law will also ensure that the federation is independent of political influence and interference, as has been the case in the past.
Yes, we have tried to produce a very good law that will promote football in Nigeria in the future. But the efficiency of that law will depend on how it is operated by members of the football family. My advice to them is that they should be people that respect the law and operate within the provisions of the law.
The previous law was seen as wayward, and various factions seeking to control the running of football included businessmen and politicians, all of whom had personal interests in the game of football. Football enthusiasts in the country welcome the new law, saying it would bring Nigerian football out of the woods.
If the bill is finally signed into place, there will be improvements in the whole football system. The way everything is handled in the NFF, between the NFF and FIFA, there will be improvements and no questions of sanctions anymore. The whole electoral process as well is going to be improved, because there will be no external intervention from bodies that are not supposed to intervene in footballing activities in Nigeria.
The country has been threatened several times with sanctions by World Football Governing Body FIFA over wrangles and interference by the government. The wrangles have seen Super Eagles head coach Stephen Keshi fired and reinstated a couple of times.
Sports News Africa spoke to Nigerian journalist Mumini Alao, who had little faith in the authorities and says the football team's demise will cost the country commercially and they should replace the coach.
First and foremost, Nigerians want Keshi to step down or be fired by the NFF. And a lot of people are saying the NFF should now go ahead and hire the kind of coach that they had in mind when they asked Keshi to step down the first time when they first got into office, talking about the NFL president, Amadou Pinnick. And most people are looking for a foreigner this time, because before Keshi came, it was Samson Siasia who failed to qualify for the Nations Cup 3 years ago, incidentally in Equatorial Guinea and Gabon. And Keshi came in, took over and took the Eagles to South Africa and won the Nations Cup. And now he's taking us back again, where he met us, right on the floor, failing to qualify for the Nations Cup. So Nigerians most fans feel that we've seen the best of the local coaches, because Keshi, Siasia, and his colleagues, they were some of our best players in Europe 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they were supposed to bring the experiences over the years to coaching the national team. And so far, Nigerians have concluded that it's not been good enough, and now we need to get a foreign coach to take over the Eagles and plan for the future. First and foremost, I can talk for my constituency. I'm a sports journalist. We publish a sports newspaper, Complete Sports, and we were already making calculations on how we're going to increase our print run during the Nations Cup next year. That's not going to happen this time. Of course, also a lot of advertising that will have come into our publication is not going to happen. So everybody's angry. Those of us in the business of sports, we are quite angry that the Eagles have failed to qualify for the Nations Cup. And then, of course, Nigerians, football fans who always enjoy watching the Super Eagles play at big tournaments, the World Cup in Brazil a few months ago, and then before that, the Nations Cup in South Africa. Next year is going to be completely empty of football action, because another Nations Cup wouldn't come until 2 years after that, which is 2017. Qualifiers will start in 2016, I guess. And then the World Cup, the next World Cup is 4 years from now. So it's going to be a really, really dry period for those of us in the business of sports, and also the fans who are, who enjoy watching the Super Eagles play. So I can't really describe how disappointed we are.
Welcome back to Sports News Africa. Senegal are through and already looking ahead to the AFCON finals. But the Teranga Lions manager is more concerned about the host's ability to complete their preparations in time more than he is about his team's chances in the tournament.
After leading his team into next year's Africa Cup of Nations, Senegal's Teranga Lions coach Alain Giresse is concerned about the little time Equatorial Guinea has to prepare to host the prestigious event.
We hope that everyone is ready, that the players will be ready, and that, for everyone's sake, the right conditions to run up with the AFCON will be in place. We have fears about hospitality, about training, about the matches themselves. We hope that everything is okay. Now, will Equatorial Guinea be up to the challenge? I don't know. It's my only question.
But concerns aside, the 62-year-old coach gloated over his team's performance in the qualifiers, pointing out that 7-time title holders Egypt gave them a hard time.
From all the matches we've had to play, the one against Egypt was the hardest to handle. Nevertheless, we grabbed 6 points against Egypt, and we only grabbed 1 point against Tunisia.
Senegal and Tunisia had already qualified from Group G before their last matches of the qualifiers.
The future is looking very bright for Congo, who have also qualified for the tournament in Equatorial Guinea. They finished second of Group A behind South Africa, denying defending champions Nigeria in the process. Now, Congo's manager has come out with some very bold statements, mapping out the Red Devils' prospects not only in African, but also on the global front.
After a gallant performance in qualifying for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations, Congo's Red Devils will not only win the tournament next year, but will also qualify for the 2018 World Cup in Russia, their coach Claude Leroy has said.
In 2017 they will qualify because the team will be ready at this time, and it will be the time for the qualification also for the World Cup in Russia, and that must be another target, because I think there is a potential to fight, to try to be in Russia in 2018.
The Devils qualified for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations on Wednesday after they beat Sudan 1-0 in the last qualifier match, shattering the dreams of Africa giants and defending champions Super Eagles of Nigeria. Leroy, who has over 30 years' experience coaching some of the best teams in Africa, said his youthful team is headed for nothing short of glory.
We have still a big job to do. I like perfection, and we are quite far from the perfection, but step by step we are improving, and I enjoy a lot with this national team because the players deserve to qualify because they did a lot of efforts, and it's a fantastic group in terms of human quality.
The Devils have never qualified for any World Cup tournament and have only won the Africa Cup of Nations once in 1972. Leroy said even though the team has been under a lot of pressure, the fairly young players are making the nation proud.
The national team is the national patrimony of a country, and everybody is behind the national team, and if you miss something, sometimes it's very strong against you, but I like this kind of challenge, and I have a very good group of players on sport level, but on intellectual level.
The Frenchman carries under his belt over 30 years football experience, having coached top African teams such as Cameroon, Senegal and Ghana. Before quitting his position as head coach of the Black Stars of Ghana, he led the team to position 14 of the FIFA World Rankings, their highest position ever.
It's a very young team on average of the age of the players, and that's why I was telling to the players the other day that I think this team has a hope of life of 4, 5, 6 years, because a lot of young players, and some very young players, 17, 18, 19 years old, are coming with a lot of qualities.
Leroy has just over a month to prepare his team for the tournament, which is expected to take place between January 17th and February 2015 in Equatorial Guinea.
With 4 wins and 2 draws in the qualifiers, Cameroon booked their place without losing a single game. The indomitable Lions also scored 9, but more significantly, conceded only 1 goal in 6 matches. With a change in the old guard, with the likes of Samuel Eto'o making way for young talent, could this be the beginning of a new dawn for Cameroon?
The game of football is Cameroon's all-time favorite and most popular sport among the country's youths. The emergence of stars such as Samuel Eto'o, among other big names of the country's football, has placed Cameroon on the international map of the game. Their dismal performance at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil forced the team to leave the tournament early, having lost all their Group A matches. But a new dawn may be beckoning. Oman Biak, former Indomitable Lions captain, feels that a reboot of the team is needed for the Lions to prosper.
We are expecting conclusions, but above all, we are waiting for a decision so that we can go back to square one and start all over again on a good basis. I know that AFCON is coming next year, but it is not the most important factor. Most importantly, we must recreate a group and work in a long-term perspective. We need to clean our football and to prepare for the future. Now it's up to our managers to first decide if they want this to happen, if they want football to be a flag bearer of our country. So we wait for the decisions.
Fans are banking on the strong campaign to AFCON 2015 and perhaps even take the cup.
Comme dans toute structure, à un moment donné, il faut bien que, vous savez, on dit le monde appartient aux...
They say the world belongs to the youth. So it's like in each and every structure, we need to renew our staff, which was growing older. You know, people like Patrick Mboma, like Song Bahanak, they had their time. But a moment comes when you have to bring new blood. Here we are now.
Fans like René and Kebe are optimistic and already looking forward to the 2015 AFCON tournament.
I'm very proud of that. It will be the first AFCON that I will try to watch live. The last one dates back to quite some time ago. We will try. Also, we Cameroonians will be judged. People will look at us to check how we can perform. But I think it will be beneficial to us. we will keep the stadiums, we will keep the roads. It's a good thing. At the end of the day, we will still keep the benefits.
According to a report released in 2010 by the Forum for African Investigative Reporters, millions of dollars earmarked for stadium redevelopment had disappeared in the hands of country's football federation and government officials.
To cricket now, and South Africa has lost the fourth one-day international against Australia by 3 wickets at the MCG in Melbourne. Proteas captain AB de Villiers scored 91 runs from 88 balls to push South Africa's total to 267 for 8 from their 50 overs. But a century from Steve Smith helped Australia over the line with 6 balls to spare. Australia wins the series 3-1 with 1 match remaining. Severe tropical storms have been making conditions difficult in the second leg of the Volvo Ocean Race as the competitors made their way towards Abu Dhabi. They set off from Cape Town across the Indian Ocean, with Team Abu Dhabi the favourites to secure back-to-back wins.
Extreme ocean conditions and potential tropical storms in the Indian Ocean weigh on sailors in the Volvo Ocean Race as they head for Abu Dhabi after leaving Cape Town on Wednesday. The 6,125-mile second leg of the Volvo Ocean Race from Cape Town to Abu Dhabi is touted as the toughest, with risks from running into unforgiving tropical storms.
The second leg is one of the toughest legs in the race, and it's also one of the most complex. Because, you know, we start in Africa, we go through the Indian Ocean, which is waters that no one has really raced before, you know, with a sailing race. So it's new territory.
Organizers on Wednesday made a late decision to place an exclusion zone leading up to the Seychelles in an attempt to steer the 7 boats clear of storms. Boats that stray into the zone will lose race points.
Upwind is a lot tougher than downwind, you know. Sailors don't think about wind strength, they think about wind strength and wind direction and waves. And all the 3 matches kind of to the perfect scenario of really, really tough conditions. So they will have sustained 25 up to 30, even more, closer to 40 knot stages upwind. And what is making it tough is the sea state. And now it has been blowing strong southerly wind directions.
The second leg ends in Abu Dhabi.
Here's a quick look at the English Premier League fixtures this weekend. Leaders Chelsea are at home to West Brom, but the game of the day is at Emirates Stadium, where Arsenal host Manchester United. On Sunday, Liverpool travel to Crystal Palace without injured Daniel Sturridge, and Monday sees Aston Villa take on Southampton. And one more piece of news to bring to you. Kenyan marathon world record holder Dennis Kipruto Kimeto is one of the 3 finalists for the IAAF Male Athlete of the Year. And that's the end of Sports News Africa for today. Thank you for joining us and see you next time. Bye for now.